Yo, what's up Ninja? OJ here. Welcome to another video. Today, great information like always, including Legend of Zelda talk. We got this. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. Everybody wants it. You guys all know that this could be a possibility. There's been a lot of talk about the next Legend of Zelda game, and there's been a new comment apparently from Mr. Aonuma that kind of points towards the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword coming to the Nintendo Switch. So we're gonna go ahead and get into what was allegedly said at the recent Legend of Zelda Concert 2018 that recently kicked off in Japan this past week. And usually there's not any crazy news from this, but apparently Mr. Aonuma made a surprise appearance at this event, and here is what he had to say after one of the performances or something like that. Quote, "We know what you are thinking, Skyward Sword on Switch, right?" That prompted the audience to clap and cheer. So we don't know if this is going to happen. It is not a confirmation of Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword coming to the Switch, but you don't get up on stage and tease like that if there wasn't something going down for Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword is one of the more modern Legend of Zelda games to not get a remake from the GameCube, Wii era, or anything like that, right? We have Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD, that got its HD whole remake and everything, or HD re-release on the Wii U. Also, the Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD, once again taking from the GameCube and putting over to the Wii U in HD. I think Skyward Sword, out of all of the 6th generation / 7th generation Zelda games, Skyward Sword is the one that probably needed the remake the most. I think the other two games hold up just a bit, but that's just my own opinion. Skyward Sword, it's almost like you love it or hate it type of thing, because there is just such a polarizing effect of what people think about Skyward Sword. Because let's talk about this for those who don't know about Skyward Sword. It's the only Zelda game out of any of the Zelda games that I've played that have some of the best story progression, some of the best combat, and some of just the best just gameplay mechanics, but to me is just taken down a peg or two because of the controls. The controls just aren't friendly to everyone that wants to sit there and slash a sword for a 20, 30 plus hour adventure. I would say more than 20 hours. If you want to get everything in Skyward Sword, you're definitely going to spend 50 hours or something like that. It's going to be a lengthy adventure of you using motion controls over and over. And once again, like I've stated before, it doesn't really suit well for people with disabilities as well. Maybe can't do some of the stuff that they're asking you to do with the movements of the Wii remote. So if they were able to bring this one over, I think they're going to have to do it intelligently. I think it's going to have to be more accommodating, and also I really want to be able to play this in portable mode. Nintendo has already shown once before that they don't have a problem having a first-party game only using motion controls. They've done that a couple different times to where you can't play that game in portable mode or handheld mode. You can still play it tabletop, right? So like 1-2 Switch, you can play that tabletop, and also Super Mario Party, you can play that tabletop or you can play it docked. But the Joy-Cons are so heavily used for motion, it just got people kind of thinking, well, what if Nintendo does this with Skyward Sword? The major difference with that and this is that mainly Nintendo's done that for party games. Mainly Nintendo's done that for mini game collections, right? 1-2 Switch, also Super Mario Party, not games like Legend of Zelda where people would want to play portable. People would want to take that adventure to where you can take it anywhere, and of course great advertising for Nintendo to be able to have a Legend of Zelda game anywhere that you can go. You know how many times I was out somewhere playing Breath of the Wild and someone said, oh, new Zelda game, you know, when I was somewhere. So that's the type of thing that I think Nintendo really wants people to see more so than anything. So of course having it to be able to be played in a portable mode would probably be beneficial to everyone involved. However, they'd have to really rechange the motion controls. You'd have to include controls to where you can just make sure that you can play the game without having to do motions, that you can just press buttons. And people are saying, well, how do you do that? Well, there was a great game on the Xbox 360, PS3, and PC called Metal Gear Rising, where it had a lot of different things, kind of like Skyward Sword, not necessarily as in-depth with certain bosses and things like that, but definitely to where you can kind of customize and slash, and had some similar elements to how you had to do things with the blade and everything, and how Raiden just had to slash through and how you controlled it. So you can have a control scheme that fits for Skyward Sword and also uses buttons. You can have that with dual analog control. We've seen it with Metal Gear Rising, and that's a fantastic game. I beat that game multiple times. So I would love to see them kind of take a page out of that book and make it to where you can be able to play it portable mode with buttons and also docked mode with buttons. Don't just say, okay, well, portable mode will give you guys a pass, but then docked, you have to play it with the motion controls, because they did that with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, to where there's no motion controls in portable mode or handheld mode, but then if you play docked, you have to have motion controls and can't use button controls. So I would really love for Nintendo to give the option. If you want to use the Joy-Cons for motion controls and sword slashes, great, you can do that. The Joy-Cons are good for that. If you want to play the game normally with buttons and everything, add in a control scheme, make sure you have pro controller support so you can accommodate as many people as possible. And I think that's how you're going to get a fantastic Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD for the Nintendo Switch, where everybody's pretty much happy with it and it reviews better and it just does better overall. I'm just hoping that they accommodate kind of everybody in there. And to be honest, guys, like I've stated multiple times, Skyward Sword is definitely not one of my favorite Zelda games, but it's only because of the motion controls. Just personally for me, I can still see why it's a great game for others and why they had no problem with it, but for me, it's just, oh man, I'm not really sure. But if they were able to put those button controls in there and they kind of clean up some of the other things, but the main thing for me is just having the control option, I think Skyward Sword might shoot up past Twilight Princess for me if they did do that. So we'll have to wait and see on that, guys. Obviously, we spent a lot of time talking about Skyward Sword HD, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about it again on PE Live, so that should be fun as well. So what do you guys think about the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword maybe coming to the Nintendo Switch at some point? Could we be getting a reveal at the Game Awards? And I honestly think, guys, we've been talking about this before. We had the Game Informer dude that pretty much said, hey, you know what? I think we could be getting the next Legend of Zelda game sooner than expected. We just got that information, and now this comes out right here. Of course, both of them not confirmed about anything. One of them was just kind of talking, saying, hey, maybe he's heard something. He said he talked about it off camera. Now we have this information here. It really does seem like they are gearing up, Nintendo that is, for a Game Awards announcement for the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. You have to remember, if you look back at the Game Awards, there's been huge Zelda reveals there. Nintendo likes to do stuff with Zelda there. You had back when the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was first revealed at the Game Awards, and then you also had the Legend of Zelda DLC, Breath of the Wild DLC, that was dropped at the Game Awards in 2017 when Breath of the Wild won that in terms of Game of the Year. So Nintendo's always went big at the Game Awards at times with Zelda when there is a Zelda to show. So maybe we see something here. I'm thinking that that could be a big possibility, along with some other stuff as well. So what do you guys think about this? Do you think that we're going to see Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword for the Nintendo Switch? Do you think that maybe we don't see it then, but it's going to come at a different place? What would you like to see enhanced? What are your big factors that they need to brush up for the Switch version if it does come to fruition? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving into the next topic here, there are multiple reports coming out from Japan that the Nintendo Switch is starting to sell out quite a bit due to the holiday rush spurred on by Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, the first HD Game Freak developed Pokemon game for the Nintendo Switch, and just in general overall, actually, if you look at what Nintendo's done in the Pokemon company. So yeah, this is definitely going to cause a lot of people going out there to get Nintendo Switch systems. It's pretty obvious that the Switch pretty much has dominated Japan, but I do think with this push of 200,000 units plus last week, and then we're probably going to get another 150 plus K week this upcoming week for the Media Create sales as well, you're definitely going to see some stores kind of running thin because the previous 2 weeks before that, it was like at 50-something thousand. It started to ramp up slightly, but we're getting the big games starting to come out in Japan with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is coming out very soon there. So yeah, you're going to see some big sales. And even if you look at last year we saw 150K, 200 something K. We saw upwards of nearly 300K or so towards the heart of December and everything. So as the holiday season goes on, that's when Nintendo does most of their business and they sell most of their Switches. If you look at what Nintendo has this year in Japan or just worldwide in general, but the type of games, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and also Super Smash Bros. Ultimate are bigger franchises with Japanese sales than Super Mario Odyssey and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Although people in Japan were still buying games like Splatoon 2, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, those were huge sellers as well. But we're just talking about the late push with what games that they have. Those two games in 2018 are better in Japan, perform better in Japan than the other games, Super Mario Odyssey and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So this year, we've already seen a bigger and faster increase than what we saw last year at the same point in Japan. So it should just build up bigger and bigger with the holiday season and Smash Brothers coming out. So I'm excited to see that. And of course, you want to see the Switch continue to sell units. We're starting to see a lot more Japanese developers kind of throw their hat into the Switch pot here. The Kill La Kill game that just got confirmed. We'll talk about that in a separate video, but there's just so much stuff going on in Japan for the Nintendo Switch. It's obviously selling very well, and it's going to continue to do so with Pokemon and Smash and some of the other games that have already came out. And I think games like Mario Tennis and also Pokken Tournament, a lot of these older games that came out this past year or the previous year, I think a lot of those are going to kind of jump back in the holiday season as more people get a Switch or they get a second Switch for the different bundles and everything that are kind of going down. I think it's really going to be a big jump back up for a lot of the previous software as well. So what do you guys think about retailers in Japan when it comes to, let's look down their list here, Yamada Denki, Nojima Online, and multiple other retailers have been selling out. So what do you guys think about this? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and also on the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword type of talk HD for the Switch. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, Ninja, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Really helps us spread the content of Player Essence across the internet in addition to YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our Patreon, Twitch, and YouTube Live gaming pages and consider supporting Player Essence. When you do so, it gets you access to all sorts of cool benefits, perks, awards, and emotes via YouTube membership. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to Player Essence for latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you, Ninja, for the next video. Peace.